So now, before we proceed to the keynote address, let us take a moment to reflect on the significance of the Independence Day. On this day, 77 years ago, Sri Lanka gained its freedom, marking the beginning of a new chapter in our history. Today, we celebrate not just independence, but also the resilience, diversity, and the unity of our nation. It is now my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Dulsha Kularatna-Abeywardana.
Dr. Dulsha Kularatna-Abeywardana, an electrical and electronics engineer, distinguished academic, researcher, and passionate advocate for STEM education. Born and raised in Sri Lanka, Dr. Kularatna-Abeywardana moved to New Zealand in 2002 and completed a bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering at the University of Auckland in 2005. She then spent several years working in both industry and academia in Sri Lanka before returning to New Zealand in 2008 to pursue her master's degree, which she completed in 2009. Balancing both study and work, her growing passion for teaching and research led her to pursue a PhD in power electronics, focusing on wireless power transfer and microfluidic actuators, which she completed in 2017. Today she's a senior lecturer at University of Auckland in the Department of Electrical, Computer, and Software Engineering. Her research focuses on power electronics, supercomputers, and energy efficiency, with applications in sustainable energy and advanced energy storage. Dr. Kularatna-Abeywardana finds great joy in academia, not just for the ability to enhance knowledge, but for the opportunity to work with and mentor students from diverse backgrounds. She also values the chance to share her research with the wider community and engage with global experts through conferences, which exchanging ideas and collaborating on new challenges. Beyond academia, she is deeply committed to STEM outreach program and the empowerment of women in engineering. She is a former chair of Women in Engineering for New Zealand North section of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, which is also known as IEEE, and now serves on the IEEE Women in Engineering Committee for Region 10 Asia Pacific, as well as the IEEE New Zealand North section executive team. She is also an active member of the IESL New Zealand chapter committee. Dr. Kularatna-Abeywardana is also a co-founder of Little Engineers, an initiative dedicated to making electricity education fun and accessible for all ages. Despite her many roles, she considers her most challenging and rewarding one to be that of mother of two daughters, aged 14 and 12. In the rare moments she finds time for herself, she enjoys painting, a passion she wishes she had more time for.
Dr. Abeywardana is a distinguished figure, and we are honored to have her here to share her insights with us today. She has always been an outstanding personality, excelling during her time at Visakha Vidyalaya, one of the Sri Lanka's leading schools. Her academic excellence and dedication have paved the way for her remarkable achievements for today. On a personal note, I'm proud to tell her that I'm a colleague of hers. And it is with great pleasure that I invite her to deliver the keynote speech as a prominent leader in her field. Let's welcome Dulsha Kularatna-Abeywardana with a warm round of applause.
So, thank you very much for that warm introduction. And Niroshi is indeed my classmate from my days at Visakha Vidyalaya. So, Ayubowan, Vanakam, Assalamualaikum, Kia ora koutou. Members of the clergy, the newly appointed High Commissioner of Sri Lanka, guests of honor, representatives of the Sri Lankan organization, members of the Sri Lankan community, and friends of Sri Lanka. Thank you so much for that warm introduction, and my heartfelt gratitude goes out to the United Sri Lanka Association for inviting me to speak on this special occasion. The United Sri Lanka Association, or fondly known as USLA, fosters unity and connections among the Sri Lankan community here in New Zealand by organizing cultural events, promoting traditions, and supporting newcomers to settle and thrive in New Zealand. Through initiatives such as Helamihira and other community-focused activities, USLA preserves the Sri Lankan heritage while encouraging integration into the New Zealand community. So when we moved to New Zealand in the early 2000s, Helamihira was actually one of the very few Sri Lankan events that brought the Sri Lankan community together. And today, my own daughters happily dance at Helamihira, and it has been a great opportunity for children like yours and mine, growing up in a diverse, multicultural society, to have access to and appreciate our roots and bond with our Sri Lankan culture. So thank you, USLA, for the great work that you do for the Sri Lankan community here in New Zealand. So as we gather to celebrate Sri Lanka's 77th Independence Day, let us first honor the sacrifices of our forefathers who dedicated their lives to gaining independence. Sri Lanka gained independence from the British rule on the 4th of February 1948, marking the end of nearly 450 years of colonization under the Portuguese, then the Dutch, and finally the British. But today, as we reflect, let me ask you, when was the last time you thought about the true meaning of independence? Is it just about freedom from external forces? Or does it also reflect the freedom to think, grow, and create? Like many of you, I actually share deep ties to Sri Lanka. I was born and raised in Sri Lanka and moved to New Zealand with my parents. I studied electrical and electronics engineering at the University of Auckland to pursue my passion for electronics. After moving back and working in Sri Lanka for over 6 years before returning to New Zealand, I've grown to deeply appreciate the unique strengths of both cultures that I'm proudly part of. From Sri Lanka, I value the warmth of our close-knit communities, the richness of our traditions, and the resilience of our people. I think we can all agree that Sri Lanka has been through a lot in the last few decades and still stands tall because of its resilience of its people. From New Zealand, I've embraced the freedom to think independently, and the drive for innovation, and the commitment to equality and inclusivity. Together, these perspectives have shaped my worldview and reinforced my belief in the power of blending the best of both worlds to grow and thrive. To me, true independence lies in freeing ourselves from the invisible chains of outdated societal norms, cultural constraints, and limiting expectations. It means refusing to let unseen forces dictate our destiny and embracing our free will to shape our own paths. It means fostering a society where freedom of thought and action is actually encouraged, where every individual, regardless of gender, social standing or background has the opportunity to contribute and thrive. So, being an educator myself, in my view, education is in fact a cornerstone of the vision of independence. In New Zealand, the Sri Lankan expatriate community is generally well known for being highly educated. A testament to Sri Lanka's commitment to providing free education, even at university level. For many Sri Lankans actually, this has been the only path out of poverty. Social constraints, gender inequalities, and other divisions. Education has the power to transcend everything that tends to divide us as human beings. While education is undoubtedly a personal success for the individual, it is also a victory for society. An educated population creates free thinkers, innovators, problem solvers, and people who get things done. This is how societies move forward. So, what does education mean to you? Is it simply about academic qualifications, or is it the freedom it provides to think critically and innovate? Education is not merely about academic credentials, letters behind a name, or certificates displayed on a wall. An educated person is someone who can think independently, contribute thoughtfully to their communities, and help shape a more equitable and inclusive society. When education becomes a tool for breaking barriers, encouraging innovation, and fostering critical thinking, it is then that we achieve true independence. Moreover, when we pair education with a willingness to embrace the good in other cultures, while of course holding on to our own unique identities, we take a crucial step towards creating a society that is not only free in name, but also in spirit and action. So I see quite a lot of young people here. So how often do we allow our children the space to explore, question, and grow? Are we nurturing the independence of their thoughts and actions, or are we constraining them with outdated norms? Something for all of us to think about. True independence, in my opinion, starts at home, with how we nurture and guide our children. It means giving them the freedom to explore, question, and grow while equipping them with the tools to think critically, make informed decisions, and embrace their individuality. As parents, our role is not to dictate their paths, but to empower them to chart their own course with confidence and responsibility. As someone who works passionately to promote engineering among girls, I know firsthand how vital it is to break free from societal stereotypes that confine children to predefined roles. I strongly believe that empowering women through education strengthens communities and nations where smart, educated mothers are better positioned to raise smart, resilient, and independent children. Independence means teaching our daughters to recognize their worth and pursue their dreams, free from outdated constraints. For example, a woman must abandon her career to take care of their family, despite how many years and tears they may have spent to get to where they are. If every woman did that, Sri Lanka would not have been the first country in the world to produce the first female Prime Minister, Mrs. Sirmal Bandaranaike. New Zealand, on the other hand, was the first country country in the world to allow women to vote. So, proud to be part of two very forward-thinking societies. And for our sons, it is about fostering respect for women and understanding that shared responsibilities, both at home and society, are the foundation of equality. By raising children who embrace equity and challenge norms, we build stronger families and communities. Quite often people ask me, how do you balance it all? Work, family, service, travel, and everything else. It comes down to one simple thing: a supportive partner and family. I think the clue is in the word partner. Because it really is a partnership where we support each other to grow stronger together. And this would not be possible if we lived in the last century. Are we building a future where independence is not just a concept, but a force for innovation, equality, and societal progress? Encouraging curiosity and critical thinking in children, I think, is essential. This involves asking open-ended questions, encouraging them to analyze information, and helping them form their own conclusions. Independent thinkers become problem solvers, innovators, and proactive contributors who drive progress in society. Raising critical thinkers, however, as a parent, isn't always easy. It can make parenting a lot more challenging. Independent children will question you. They will question boundaries, challenge ideas, and even demand explanations. They will question you and your decisions as a parent. Sometimes my own kids leave me speechless without a good enough counter-argument. While as a parent it is a hard pill to swallow, we can also give ourselves a pat on the back for raising independent, critical thinkers. And as parents, this is also an opportunity for us to grow alongside them, modeling independence, open-mindedness, and adaptability. It also allows us, especially with the older children, to hold them accountable for their choices and help them learn from the consequences of their actions. Encouraging curiosity and critical thinking, therefore, is in fact essential. Critical thinking paired with a sense of responsibility, understanding the impact of their action and taking ownership for that, they become not just dreamers, but doers. I think here in New Zealand, we are uniquely placed to draw from multiple cultures. Our children have the privilege of experiencing the richness of Sri Lankan heritage while being immersed in a diverse, progressive society. In what ways can we honor our roots while embracing the diversity around us? Can we create a society where both individual identity and cultural openness are celebrated? We need to take the opportunity to raise individuals who are well equipped to choose the best values and practices from each culture, fostering a global mindset while staying, of course, rooted to their identity. And this is where organizations like USLA are vital for the migrant communities to help them foster their cultural roots, although we are all far from our motherland. Finally, independence also means allowing children to fail and learn from their mistakes. How often do we allow our kids to fail and learn from their mistakes? I know personally as a parent how hard it is to knowingly let your child fail. But if they are failing in a safe environment, we are in fact giving them space to try, stumble, and persevere. Don't get me wrong, by any means I'm not suggesting that we should all let our kids jump off a cliff, absolutely not. But true independence isn't about about shielding them from difficulties, but empowering them to navigate the complexities of the world with confidence. When we raise children who think critically, act responsibly, and draw strengths from diverse perspectives, we are shaping a future generation capable of transforming communities. This is how we ensure not only personal growth, but also a collective independence that drives our societies forward. The dangerous mindset of "this is how we've always done it" stifles creativity and hampers growth, something for all of us to think about. In contrast, societies that embrace diversity, equality, and forward-thinking values build stronger, more resilient communities. On that note on education, I'm proud to say that at the University of Auckland, our engineering faculty is actually home to 25 PhD students of Sri Lankan origin, and that I am told is the highest number across all of the faculties, where we have the largest number of Sri Lankan PhD students. And what makes me even more proud is that 10 of those 25 students are actually young women. This is actually a testament to the transformative power of education and the opportunities it can provide. Policies like New Zealand's equal fees for domestic and international PhD students have been life-changing for many, offering access to world-class education and research opportunities. So, to those of you who are considering higher education, I encourage you to explore the possibility of pursuing a PhD here in New Zealand. The doors to innovation and research are open to you, and this could be the stepping stone to shaping your future and contributing to the world. I also invite those from our communities to support these graduating youngsters to find jobs and get on their feet once they're done with their studies. So as we celebrate 77 years of Sri Lanka being an independent state, let us reflect on the true meaning of independence. This day signifies not just political freedom, but also the beginning of a journey to define our nation's identity, reclaim our culture, and build a future based on our own aspirations and values. So let's ask ourselves, what kind of independence are we fostering in our own lives? And how can we help the next generation experience independence better? And looking forward, are we building a future where independence is not just a concept, but a force for innovation, equality, and societal progress? So let us commit ourselves, even in the smallest way possible, to empower individuals through education and innovate to create a more inclusive, resilient, and forward-thinking society. So to the young people here, education, which is not limited to books, is your path to true independence. Never stop learning. Challenge yourself and embrace change. Together, we can build a brighter future where independence is not just a concept, but a dynamic force for progress. Thank you. Jai Deva.